This is Reasonable Doubt with your hosts, Mark Garrigus and Adam Carolla.
Yeah, get it on. Got to get on. No choice but get on mandate. Get it on and welcome to the best hour or so in the universe.
We got a good solid 48 minutes, I think, to go. Although I'm a little, I just walked in here and it looks like you've got a cocktail.
Two. Yes.
What is what?
I have a whiskey-based and a tequila-based.
There's tequila here, and somehow I missed it?
There
Damn. Thanks a lot, Gary. GPS is supposed to know when I'm in the house and there's tequila in the house. Jesus, thanks a lot.
Yeah, well, we just did a segment on ACS with Dan Dunn, and he brought in the cocktails, he brought the stuff in, and I took an oath not to throw away booze.
There's that. To me, it's blasphemy.
I totally agree. It's like stepping on the American flag.
Yeah, exactly. I consider it about. Actually, I think throwing away booze is even worse.
You're right,
because one is symbolic, the other is an actual
practical.
Exactly.
Right. So I just kept the drinks.
Okay.
And I know you don't judge.
Yeah, I don't judge. I was more, there was envy. There wasn't judgment.
That's what I'm saying. All right. So,
wait.
Yeah.
I was just telling you as I sat down, and I was torn between envy for your tequila and anger at our fearless leader.
Yes, Gavin Newsom.
Yeah, I saw this. I just now sent it to Gary, and I was just saying I really need some therapy because I started to watch this, and I got angrier by the minute.
Yes, this is Gavin from day before yesterday, and he's given a press conference about all the stealing that's gone on trains. You guys have all seen it around the country. People are breaking into trains. I think... these are, so let me just see if I can figure this out. Containers come over from China. They come over from
I don't even think, I wish Gary would put up so that, oh my God. Now you're talking.
It's a heavy
asking you shall receive.
Heavy pour of tequila for Mark.
Yeah, it's a very heavy pour. So Gary, I think we have to set this up for those who are watching to see. Adam threw up the other day, not throw up, but you posted on Twitter a view from the rooftop in Malibu.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did a view from what I thought was downtown LA. And it was building on your tweet, which just went viral, about what we were promised, what we got.
Yeah,
right?
It was a bullet train versus the train going through the heap of trash, and it may have gotten 8 million views.
And now the reason I'm saying this is there you go. This is Adam started something here. It's an actual phenomena.
How many people viewed this?
I mean, insane, because other people swiped yours and then posted it as if it was theirs. Yeah, so it went crazy.
So
now, one of the reasons I want to, and we'll get to this in a sec after yours, I want to set this up too. Yes, there are containers of China. There's also Union Pacific is a common carrier of not post office, but other postal type things, UPS, things of that nature. And in a minute, that'll become relevant because these are packages that are being delivered to people who have ordered stuff.
Right. So the containers leave the ship. They get loaded with a gantry crane onto a flatbed truck. The semi-truck takes it to the rail station. The rail station puts it onto the carts, and then it's whisked off to wherever it's going. And then people are jumping onto the trains. I guess, and they don't really talk about this, but those containers have to be locked.
Correct.
But the thing is anyone who knows their way around a Home Depot, the battery-operated tools are second to none now. This stuff didn't exist in the past. So in the past, if you wanted to defeat a lock with a right-angle grinder with a carborundum blade, you couldn't do it because you didn't have enough extension cord. Now everything is battery-driven, and you can just jump on, it's about the size of a wine bottle. and you could jump onto a train and take this Sawzall or take this right angle cutter and cut the lock off. And then once you cut the lock off, you can open the doors and swing the doors open and get whatever the contents are of the container.
Well, and I'm also going to throw one more thing into the mix, and then we'll have our discussion. Also, you posted this, I believe, on a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
On that following Saturday, within 48 hours, there was a derailment involving these almost in the exact area. And I believe it was Union Pacific said it's under investigation. Now, a lot of people were throwing around the idea that the trash had caused the derailment. I'm going to be a little bit more conspiracy and tinfoil hat. I think that part of these organized crime syndicates actually forced them off so that they could then go and get the loot, so to speak. I think it was intentional. I think somebody said, hey, look at Carolla's post. I got an idea.
Well, either way, and you're calling them groups or gangs or whatever, we'll play the clip, and then I'll play the second one, which will make your smoke will come out of your ears. So play the first one first.
Covering. I see what everybody's seen and asking myself, what the hell is going on? I mean, look like a third world country, these images, the drone images that were on the nightly news day in and day out. Some networks weaponizing them for their own, political agenda, and others just reporting the damn news. This is not one-off. This is organized theft. They're organized groups of folks that move from site to site. When there's more attention, a bright light on one site, they move to the next site.
So whenever Gavin Newsom says damn or hell, that's how you know he's full of shit. When he goes, I'm damn pissed. I watch the evening news. I find out, first off, you're the governor of California. Why are you learning what's going on in California by watching the evening news? That means
how about
the
when
news
he
cycle's
says
over.
folks? When he says folks, it's like, dude, you were bankrolled by a Getty. So when you say folks, that may be the most obnoxious, condescending, patronizing thing I've ever seen. Folks.
It's funny when he's damn angry about what the hell is going on. I do like when he's...
What state am I in? It looks like a third world country. How is this
going
possible?
on? Yeah.
What's going on? Where am I that this is third world country?
Well, Mark, I think Adam can inform you on why he used the word folks.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, because, you sent this clip to Gary, but I was like, oh, Gary, there's a second clip.
Here we go.
Okay, and I haven't seen this.
You're going to love it.
Okay.
These are organized gangs of people that are coming out, and forgive me for saying gangs. I know that's not a pejorative. They're organized groups of folks.
Is that for real?
That's real.
How is this? This, for anybody who asks, because people always push back. I mean, we have a demographic. You have a demographic. I just kind of draft behind you of people who constantly on our comments say Mark is 2 days away from the red pill. Mark's how can he be a Democrat? I was born in downtown Los Angeles 64 years ago. I went to law school in downtown Los Angeles. I've had my practice there for 40 years. I own property in downtown Los Angeles. Why? Because I've got this guy as the governor, and but we shipped him off to Calcutta, Mayor Garcetti. Why do I have to leave? Why do I have to sell? Why, after 64 years of working my ass off, for a place that, by the way, everybody who leaves California is kind of wistful for it. It's, even you who says you're going to drive it up to Sonny and Natalia's graduation on a U-Haul. By the way, the U-Haul, did you see this the other day? The CEO of U-Haul said he can't keep up with the demand in California.
I know. I had it. Tucker Carlson said to me a week ago when I did a show, I was like, well, we're going to have to leave at some point. He was like, why do you have to leave? You've been here your whole life. And I was like, I guess he's right. Why do I have to leave? Why can't we fix things?
I don't understand why I have to leave. I understand they're going to tax me to the point of where I just won't get up in the morning. I mean, or I'll just continue to walk down the horse trails all day and do nothing and just lay everybody off. But why do I have to leave? Why can't they leave? Why can't, if they, I mean, he's calling it, you've got the guy who's in charge. It's like me walking into my business and saying, this is a goddamn hellhole, and who's responsible? Oh, I forgot. I own this place and I'm running the place. What the, how do you talk about, and then you say, there's certain channels that are weaponizing it. Dude, I'm not a Fox News watcher, okay? You could accuse me of weaponizing it because I have to sit and deal with it daily. I mean, you come down here and do this. Gary didn't even show him picking up the trash. That's a $15 an hour job. That's really all he's worth. I'll give him that. He's finally, the cream has finally risen to the point where it belongs.
Well, they do this thing where it's like, oh, conservative news pounces on, but it's like, well, is it happening or isn't it happening? So they can pounce on all they want to pounce on. The question is it true? So is this happening or isn't it happening? Not about whether they're pouncing or not. It's like, oh, conservative news channels make it blah, blah, blah. Yeah, conservative news channels are going to do that, but they're not going to do that if it doesn't exist.
Well, how about that? Somebody tweeted at me today, oh, Mark, the tweet that you posted was not of downtown LA, that was Lincoln Heights. So I said, okay, sure. I then tweeted up the picture from Lincoln Heights of downtown LA. By the way, Lincoln Heights is walking distance to downtown LA. Why? It's okay if we just kind of shift the problem to the east side. Come downtown. I'll show you a trash-filled stretch right between Wilshire and 6th Street that looks like the worst part of Mexico.
So for some reason, Reuters, I guess, cut out the part where he changed the name. He didn't want the pejorative of saying gangs. Gangs of people. He said gangs of people. Why is that a pejorative? It's a gang of people.
Do you know how many years the DA's office in L.A. had a gang unit? The LAPD has a gang unit. They had the gang unit used to be the most desirable place for DAs to aspire to because the gang unit, you got to demonize the defendants and pick up all kinds of notches on your belt.
Speaking of that, there was that crazy
there you go.
killing of the 24-year-old who was...
there you go. There's your view for those of you who want to get particular. Yes, it's from Lincoln Heights. One of the other things you notice about this, Gary and Adam, do you notice all of the RVs parked along the... Yeah.
First thing I noticed, I looked right at that. And I was thinking to myself, and I was talking about it when I was in Portland, it's one thing to live in a refrigerator box underneath a freeway overpass. But to live in an RV, first off, you have to park a 32-foot RV in Venice Beach.
Yeah.
The streets are like 9 foot wide. Just the idea of negotiating Venice and parallel parking an RV and then hooking up your generator and all. These people are employable.
Absolutely.
Don't give me this is unemployable people. These guys are driving an RV, hooking up the generator.
Can I also point out the mid-2000s Model S with the Space Saver spare parked right behind one of the RVs?
Jeez. Oh, really?
Yeah, that black car is like a 2003-ish model Mercedes S-Class, and it's got like a Space Saver spare on the back left tire. So presumably
as an
their car.
Armo, I could identify that. In Glendale, that's probable cause.
Oh, what is up with Newsom? Jesus goddamn Christ.
Explain to me, Gary, show the part of the tape where he's picking up the trash. What is this supposed to tell? By the way, this links back to the first part. The so-called trash is, I'm not so sure that that's not a crime in and of itself. If those are mail packages that go to people, you don't get to just throw that stuff away.
Right.
That's part of the interstate commerce. So this is the solution. If they knock over a car that's filled with products that are destined for people who presumably paid them. And by the way, if you're one of those consumers, I defy you to try and get your money back because it wasn't delivered. then tell me how it is that you get to just take a bulldozer, put it in the trash, and throw it away or send it to landfill. How is that legal?
So back to crime and Gascon and the 24-year-old beautiful girl who was stabbed on Fairfax. And so for people who don't know, Fairfax was, kind of fell apart, and then it kind of got back in vogue, and all these upscale furniture places in there. And a lot of people are talking about this recent killing. There's been some recent killings, but this captured the imagination of Americans because she was very attractive and young and UCLA student. Yes.
It reminds me, speaking of UCLA students, do you remember when Westwood, maybe 25, 30 years ago, there was a killing of a young, I believe it was also a UCLA student in Westwood. It basically kind of had ramifications for Westwood that were unbelievable. It just captured the imagination.
Somebody hopped up on the sidewalk in Westwood and ran over a bunch of people back in the 90s or something like that. And that was like one of the Westwood. Westwood was a place where people would go to watch movies on a Saturday night, get a fat burger, blah, blah, blah. But the problem with killings is, and everyone does this thing where it's like, well, you kill some poor mother of three, she's black and nobody cares. That's true. You kill the beautiful 24-year-old UCLA grad student, then people do care. That is true. And so this person was killed crazily just by this sort of, I don't know if he's homeless or he's just...
He was obviously in a complete mental breakdown and dissembled. I mean,
he's got a very long record for sure. There's a graphic they were showing of all of his mugshots today.
What do you think's going to happen with Gascon and all the people, the DAs, the sort of local DA guys that are accused of being soft on crime? And
well, Gary and I talked yesterday. Mike Bonin, who is the city council person in Los Angeles, whose district is Venice. And I was telling Gary yesterday, I've had extensive discussions with both Venice homeowners associations, Venice homeless activists. I've quite a few, because both sides are totally frustrated as to what's going on in Venice. Consequently, there was a recall movement of Mike Bonin. And Mike Bonin has famously he plays kind of a musical chairs with the homeless. He moves them from one area to another, and he's got, right now, he's got a deal where the park is kind of a sober up area for the homeless, and so the park is no longer of any use to the local homeowners. But on his recall, they got 39,000 signatures. You only needed what, Gary? 27,000?
27 plus, 27 and change.
So the registrar, I guess, just deleted or rejected 14,000. So he's not going to get recalled. So you get what you paid for. And I think Culver City was the same. They had a couple of guys also who were kind of proponents of these policies, and you can't do it. So I have a very hard time getting a lot of getting worked up over the Venice situation, even though it's clearly out of control. I mean, I've got several buddies who have tried to sell their property, cannot sell it. I mean, it's absolutely, there is no value.
Could you imagine, if you think about it, they call it curb appeal.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So when you sell a house, you're like, well, go deal with the planters in the front and rake the leaves and do all that. Imagine if there was a beat-up Winnebago just parked right in front of your house with some guy dealing fentanyl.
Right.
You want to talk about curb appeal. People are, when you sell a house, you're like, take the trash cans, pull them around to the back. People don't want to see trash cans. Well, you're selling a place. You got your car parked out there, put it in the garage. People don't want to see the car. Imagine a Winnebago parked literally in front of your house. And by the way, people listening need to understand that house is $3 million. You people living in Utah and you people living in Michigan,
exactly.
You getting yourself some acreage for $675,000. No. This is a small lot for $3 million. And it's so small that the Winnebago will take up most of the width of the lot that's parked out in front of it.
Absolutely. And hold on, that reminds me of something. Cerebral first. Last year, anxiety and depression rates doubled in the U.S. Didn't you get depressed on occasion?
No.
Okay. It can take weeks to get a traditional therapy.
I did.
Did you, Gary?
Oh, yes,
Ask
I did.
Gary.
Yeah,
It's
Gary.
trapped with a 1-year-old.
Cerebral is an online mental health service that offers prescription medication, counseling, and therapy for anxiety, depression, ADHD, insomnia, and more. Drew would love this. One of the few services that provides prescription medication online through a licensed provider and ships the meds straight to your door. Unlimited messaging with your care team. Connect with your counselor and therapist on your own schedule through your laptop or their Cerebral's mobile app, which is great. Simone Biles is their chief impact officer. She's a huge advocate for reducing stigma around getting treatment, which is great. I didn't realize she was affiliated, but that gives it the Simone Biles stamp of approval, right, Gary?
That's absolutely right. Listeners of this program can receive 65% off your first month of medication management and care counseling at getcerebral.com/doubt. Go to getcerebral.com/doubt for 65% off your first month. That's just a total of $30 to get started. Join Cerebral today on their mission to make quality mental health care accessible and affordable for all. Get Cerebral, that's CEREBRAL.com/DOUBT.
So back to your point, I've got two close friends, one who had paid $5 million for their house in Venice.
Wow.
And fled to Florida about a year ago. The other who never lived here but bought a house for $10 million in Venice, right on the beach.
$10 million.
$10 million
That's
in Venice.
And
a lot. Both have had their properties for sale for over a year. Not even a bite.
I mean, again, I always say this because you have to imagine people living in other parts of the country are like people living in different eras. It's not like different parts of the country. It's like people in Michigan and Utah, they're listening in the 80s, and we're in 2022. So you're essentially saying, could you imagine buying a house for $10 million? And they would go, no, that's insane. Because, when I was a kid, it was like $1 million house, a mansion up on the hill.
We used to think, when we were kids, a house in the valley where you were would have been, 100, 150.
The houses I grew up in, the house I grew up in was my grandmother's second house. So she bought a house and then bought a second house for a rental, whatever. But
right.
my mom ended up flopping out in there. That house was $10,000.
My poor dad. The first house he bought in La Cañada when he was a DA, he paid, I want to say $22,000 for this little thing on Cornichon Boulevard.
So $10,000 for the one house.
That's amazing.
Then they
what year was that?
51, 52.
Right.
Then they bought another house in another part of North Hollywood. That was like $12,000. And that's where my grandparents lived. And then we lived in their second house. And then later on, after my parents got divorced, my dad bought a house in sort of deeper North Hollywood for $13,000. This was in the 70s, by the way. That house is a piece of shit. But that's what houses cost. Could you imagine telling someone in Michigan, I bought this house for $10 million, but there's so many homeless people around it, I couldn't sell it. They'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. $10 million.
$10 million. You'd be at the penthouse. You'd have the entire top floor of a penthouse in the best building in the city.
Well, there are buildings in the Midwest. I've seen them. I've contemplated buying. You can buy huge buildings and pieces and parcels of land for $10 million.
Oh, the craziest thing, if you buy warehouses. Mm-hmm. So the warehouse we're sitting in is $5 million or $4 million or something like that.
And by the way, this is not exactly central. Well, it's centrally located, but I can throw a baseball from your driveway and hit the freeway from here.
Yes.
Yeah.
You go, and I'll correct. It's more like 3 to 4, but let's just say So you go to Michigan, you see a 50,000 square foot warehouse, and it was $110,000. It's crazy, the real estate. But the notion of you buy a super expensive place in Venice Beach and you have a guy with a Winnebago dealing fentanyl out front of it is insane to me.
Well, and by the way, both of the people that I'm referring to, I'm not going to give them names or genders, but both people did not inherit their money. Both people worked really hard, are 50s, late 50s, and this was kind of their reward to themselves for doing well. And I'm going to go to Venice Beach. I'm going to buy a place. I may retire here, blah, blah, blah. And now it's like their entire net worth is put in a place where literally I wouldn't even spend the night there. Would you?
It's crazy. And, oh, by the way, the crazy homeless, like pushing people onto the railway tracks and stabbing people and going crazy on people. I was thinking about, like, homeless used to just be sort of downtrodden.
Well,
now,
remember when we were growing up, we called them hobos.
Yeah, hobo.
Hobo was kind of a, it was a friendly, it was a
euphemistic.
Yeah.
Now they're weaponized. Well, first off, I was thinking of it. If you are homeless, you need a weapon. So if you're going to live on the street, but you have to defend yourself, so you need a weapon. So now you're weaponized, essentially. You're on the street. You're not drinking, Boone's Farm or Ripple or Night Train anymore. You're doing fentanyl. And now you're out of your fucking mind. And meth. And now you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
And that's where we're at. So it's not surprising to me that homeless people are running around punching people in the face and pushing them on the track. It's also not
surprising. I mean, years and years ago when crack was a thing and then meth was just kind of taking hold, you would see people who would start hoarding. I don't know what it is about that addiction, but there's kind of a hoarder aspect to it. So you would see a person, I remember clients I had a bunch of pro bono cases of people, kids of people that I knew, and you'd take a look at their car or you'd meet them somewhere.
Right.
And their car was always jam-packed full of shit. There was a hoarder mentality. That hoarder mentality has kind of moved from the house to the car to now the street.
Right.
You get off on the 110 freeway. Be my guest if you're in L.A. Get off on the Wilshire off-ramp and take a gander at that little strip of 100 yards that's under the Korean Air, that poor
building.
Building. Poor guy paid cash $1.5 billion to build that building. And he must say to himself, I should have just gone to Rosarita Beach or Tijuana. It would have been cheaper.
Yeah, that's the Korean Air looks like
the
Pepsi.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. So there's a strip right there of what looks like hoarders have camped out and have just taken over the street. And I mentioned before, they've also encroached on the street, kind of like your RV, but they've done it even more. They've just taken over one full lane. They basically squatted one full lane. Then you go down, so you pass that every morning, and I get off there because I want to be reminded of just what has happened to downtown. And I make the left. I go by the $1.5 billion, $2 billion building. I go to the engine company, and it's like there's a certain kind of a ghoulish quality to what's going on down there. The building right next door to the engine company, the restaurant has gone out of business. They used to have a nice kind of Korean food mart, chained up and gone. Every tenant, there was 10 tenants, all gone. Around the corner, there's a building, I want to say Pegasus, but the tenants are gone out of that on the retail. The tenants are gone up and down Figueroa. And what you do have, however, is you've got up at what used to be the LA Grand, they now house the people who are chronically unemployable, apparently, because I think that's one of the prerequisites. And what they do is they come and they chase my employees down the street and hurl stuff at them or assault them or grab them. And so all of the females who live downtown who work for me have now fled or are in the process of fleeing. And that's the where I have to step over every day when I go to work in Los Angeles.
Gary?
Yes, sir.
We got another story. We can.
We do. We have an update from a Beyond, actually. There's a video that I think Mark and I should probably play for you first. I'll have Emmy pull it up here. And what we'll do is we'll just watch this video, and then Mark can tell you about the story, and then there's an update since Mark and I covered this, I would say probably 8 or 10 days ago on Beyond a Reasonable Doubt.
Okay.
So,
We always miss you on Beyond, by the way.
Yes, we do.
We do.
Yes, my name Burhan Uddin Chaudhary.
All right. You have a ticket from August 2nd, 2021, 521 for Enid for failing to keep the fence, walkway, sidewalk, or alley free of weeds, trees, or other nuisance vegetation. The first offense, civil infraction.
By the way, can we press pause for 1 second? I wish I had a picture. I may send it to Gary so he can drop it in. If this is what the off-ramp looked like, I would be cheering. I'd be here. I would be
greenery.
It's a parkway. It's a greenway. It's wonderful. Look at it, right?
Yeah, it's a bunch of weeds growing on a sidewalk in front of a garage. But she said what, Gary?
Responsible with an explanation or not responsible?
Explain what. I am a cancer patient, very old ma'am, and I am a cancer patient. I was then very weak, and very weak. And this time of rainy season, I cannot look after this thing.
Be ashamed of yourself.
Repeat that again, Gary.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yeah. The guy's wheezing. He can barely talk.
On this, I would. The fine is $100. Pay it by February 1st. You better get that cleaned up.
She tells him, you should be ashamed of yourself. If I could give you jail, I would.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
and by the way, this is your empty bag theory in action. You're watching it in jurisprudence real time.
So he has cancer?
He's got cancer. He's undergoing chemotherapy. He's obviously breathing very labored. I believe it's his son who's with him, is trying to talk some sense into this pillar of the community that has been appointed as a judge. And her response is, you should be ashamed of yourself. If I could give you jail, I would.
Is she not aware of the circumstances?
Well, according to, if this is not cut and spliced, it appears that she was aware of the fact he had chemo. It was in August of 21, raging, everybody always wants to say raging corona, right? He couldn't get outside because he can barely breathe. By the way, he's trying to attend a WebEx or Zoom court appearance, and he can barely breathe to talk.
Where is this?
In Michigan.
Yeah. Michigan. And so there's weeds and stuff, and the judge is saying you need to take care of the weeds in front of your house.
And you should be ashamed of yourself.
And I'd put you in prison if I could.
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, she finally, Gary, what did it take her? 2 weeks to apologize after it went viral and she's been pilloried everywhere?
Yeah, it was about 2 weeks, and she's since come out and made a statement and said that she has reported herself to the governing board that manages judges in her area for the misconduct, and it seems like a somewhat sincere apology, but yeah.
Yeah, but you want to know something which is disturbing. I'm practicing, I think next year it'll be 40 years. This isn't unusual. I mean, this is not an outlier. I mean, the reason we've got it now, because of Corona, there are now WebEx videos. There's, video appearances. You get to see what actually happens in courtrooms. I mean, people, I hate to say it, but it's not uncommon for your empty bag theory to be manifested at every level of the judiciary.
I kind of like her.
Yeah.
Well, keeps the neighborhood nice. Like she wasn't. I get it. The guy has cancer.
Yeah,
I feel bad,
but you don't feel that bad. You feel
worse about the neighbors.
Yeah, chemo the plants. Yeah, Roundup causes cancer.
I'm a little Law and Order. Like when in doubt, let's err on the side of Law and Order. I get it.
This
I
is
feel
why
bad for him.
You're channeling your former federal prosecutor.
Yeah, and Rear Admiral. She could, he's not in good shape, but he could farm it out.
Yeah, I suppose he could. But you want to know something? I wish she would save her vitriol. I'd like to let her take a visiting judgeship in L.A. and cite the Wilshire Boulevard contingent.
What is the Wilshire Boulevard contingent?
The ones on the one. I'm going to take a picture on the way to the office and send it to Gary.
Down, way down.
Yeah.
My grandmother would tell me. My grandmother grew up in L.A.
Right.
And she would tell me, you go down Wilshire to the beach, there's just bean fields on both sides of Wilshire.
So my Aunt Virginia, who lived off of
right?
Wilshire, she said the same thing. She's long since gone, but she bought somewhere past La Brea and said that was the same thing. You would go down there was nothing there. I often think of Bob Hope, who became practically a property billionaire from buying up in the valley when houses were yours.
Yeah, my grandmother would say they'd go down to Sunset, like I guess around where the Comedy Store was.
Right.
They had chicken ranch up there. You go there, get your chicken, and then bring it home. Like kill it and make it for dinner that night. In the middle of the Sunset Strip. Not that long ago.
It's within a generation that we can remember.
It's crazy. All right, let me tell you about Audible 2022. All about making positive change. Audible, your destination for wellness, inspiration, to create new goals, unwind, and simply be entertained. Enjoy all the audio entertainment in one app. You'll always find the best for what you love, what you're looking for, and what you want to discover. If you don't like reading, I don't like reading, but I like walking and I like listening, and that's where Audible comes in. As an Audible member, you can choose one title a month.
What's the last Audible you listened to?
Probably Freakonomics.
Oh, okay, good.
You can keep from the entire catalog, including the latest bestsellers and new releases. New members can try Audible for free for 30 days as well. Wow. Visit audible.com/RD or text RD to 500. That's 500-500. And that's audible.com.co. I should say audible.co/RD and text RD to 500-500. So, it's crazy. Sunset Strip, chicken ranches, bean fields, all the way down to the beach on Wilshire.
Well, it's amazing. We were talking about Venice versus others, and there's always gentrification and the demographic changes in various areas. But when you take a look at and that's part of the California dream, is you buy a house, you work for, decades, and then the house builds up value, and then presumably you sell at a certain point, and that's your retirement. That's the rug has been pulled out on that.
Yeah. Well, it depends where you buy the house, I guess.
Well, you know why we like La Cañada? Because we got a sheriff who doesn't allow, and we got a school district and a police force. Those are kind of the two determinants.
Yeah, I would always tell Mike August, I was like, every time someone says something nutty and wants to implement something weird or insane in L.A., that's just better for me and my home values in La Cañada, because basically it's kind of interesting. But what you're buying is a slice of the past. You're basically saying, I'm going to pay a premium to live in a place where people walked, neighbors knew each other. There wasn't, transgender movements and whatever else is going the fuck on, where kids were kids and adults were adults and Americans were Americans. And it's essentially you're buying your way into the past. Now, you're not buying your way into the future. You're buying your way into a bygone era.
It's so funny you say that because when I was
By the way, your wife sent me a picture of walking around, saw Sonny trucking around the neighborhood, and just said, "Oh, Sonny."
I always, where I see Sonny on Georgian, always on Georgian. He's such a good kid. You should be so proud. But you're right about that because as I was walking on the horse trail this morning, I was thinking to myself, I'm 13 miles from downtown. I'm walking on a horse trail where there is literally horse manure on it, which I don't mind. It's kind of interesting. But it is a throwback. I mean, it's almost, I put myself in a cocoon. I put myself in this kind of time capsule that is, decades and decades ago. And it's interesting that gives me some kind of insularity and comfort.
Yeah, I think everyone thinks, I've screamed about this a million times, like everything that's new is not better.
Right. It's not progress.
Not everything that's new is progress. Some things are better the way we used to do them. And certainly for certain schools or neighborhoods or communities, the old school way of doing it is better. I told Sonny, I don't know why I'm bringing this up, but because I brought up Sonny. I got another Trans Am race to do.
Oh, my God.
I got another ride in a professional Trans Am car.
I was just seeing the Trans Am parade in honor of Burt Reynolds' birthday. Did you see that?
Oh, this is...
I saw it. This is very different.
This is very different.
This is very, very different.
That's the problem with Googling Trans Am, but these are professional Trans Am race cars that are not Trans Am, not Pontiac Trans Am, just a Trans Am series, which is... Can-Am is Canadian American. And
correct. Trans Am. What is Trans Am short for?
Well, American is probably the second part.
Well, that I figured, but the trans, is that continents?
I'll try to figure it out. But okay. I did a race. I did a professional race like 3 years ago, and it was kind of crazy. But I got, theoretically,
there you go,
a new ride in a new Trans Am car.
Wow.
It hasn't come to fruition exactly yet, but they
what is that?
That's like a C7R Corvette.
Wow.
And it's crazy. And it's coming back, and it's coming to Laguna Seca. And I called Sonny last night, and I was like, I got to ride in another Trans Am car, because he was there for the last ride in the Trans Am car.
Where was the last one?
That was Willow Springs.
Oh, got it.
And I think there's Gary, you can find that picture of me and Adam Carolla contests his first Trans Am race or whatever, comedian, whatever.
What year is that car?
I don't know that much about vets, but I'll say 2018 or something like that. Right. The cars have...
What do you think, by the way, I know that we're far afield from the usual RD, but I'm very impressed with the most recent vets.
Oh, yeah. Mid-engine. They're killer. This car got rebodied, I think, to a Camaro, but it's got over 1,000 horsepower.
Jeez.
It doesn't weigh that much and has crazy big slicks, like huge.
I'm looking at them. In the rear, it looks like, how wide?
14, 15.
Jeez. There you are.
There we are. And at some point, it was a crazy... somebody got me riding this professional Trans Am car. I've never driven one. So I went to Willow Springs, and they showed me the car. I had no idea what was going on with the car. And I went and drove. I came in third, so I got on the podium.
First time you drove it?
First time I drove it. So... Speaking of Sonny, I just told him I got another race. It's not for sure yet, but April 22nd, Laguna Seca Professional Trans Am Series. Trans Am 1.
Wow.
Is
Look at you on the dance.
That's right. I'm up on the podium.
And where's Sonny?
I don't know. There's a picture of me and Sonny of something, Gary.
Can I contrast you and Sonny? You're on the days. You're up there. You've won the Trans Am race, right? Third
place.
Third. Well, you're up there. You're a medal.
I'm on the podium.
Yeah.
I'm on the podium.
Okay, there you go. There's you and Sonny. Okay, I wish I had a picture of me and Jake. Actually, Gary, do you have the video? I wish you had the video. The video of Jake 2 months ago taking my Porsche, my prized possession, because it was one of the last manuals, and driving it in Santa Monica and totaling the car.
What?
Yeah, totaled my Porsche. Total.
What year was the car?
2008. My prized possession.
Totaled
it. Yeah.
Insurance said
totaled. I mean, I didn't want if it had frame damage, but you're sitting there with Sonny.
It has a unibody.
Yeah.
And if the unibody's fucked, then you're fucked.
I'm fucked.
Frames you can straighten.
And by the way,
you had a tub.
You can't get a manual of the turbo cabriolet anymore. And that's why I kept it. I mean, I probably would have sold it long ago. But they eliminated the manual, and
that's an expensive car.
It's an expensive car. It's been a problem with Jake and me since then. But I'm happy to see you and Sonny happy at the Trans Am. I'll be sure to send this to Jake.
When did he total it?
Within the last 60 days.
Really?
Yeah. And
what was he doing?
It's that we could do a whole beyond on this. On Tuesday, we may have Jake on and we may talk about it. It was
a turbo?
Yeah. It was you've seen it. The black turbo, triple black manual cabriolet.
The manuals are hard to find now.
You can't get it. They didn't after 2008. They
don't make them.
They don't make them. And when I bought that car, I was really upset with Rustneck because I had ordered the car back in 2007. I was on the wait list. It was delivered to Rustneck. David Beckham walks in and takes my car.
Really?
Yeah. It was like, fuck Garrigus. We're going to give it to Beckham. Beckham takes my car. They had to make it. That was my makeup car for David Beckham.
What people don't realize is if you want to order a GT3 RS, whatever, limited Wolfsburg edition, Weissach edition with the center locks and the manual and the whatever, you might not be able to get it. If you do get it, you'll be on a waiting list or whatever. But if you can get it, and you sit on that car. I mean, there's one on Bring a Trailer.
Oh yeah, I've seen it.
It's got like $760,000.
And Jake
it's a modern car.
Jake keeps sending me Bring a Trailer stuff. Like, hey Dad, I totaled the car. This would be a good down payment for this. And it's like, I want to just clock you with a baseball bat.
Yeah. So the Corvette went to the Camaro body,
right?
And then the hopefully we'll be able to like carry on the tradition at Laguna Seca.
You go from 3 to 2 or 1, right? You kind of move up the days.
No, I start at 1. That was the scary part.
Wow.
Yeah, it was scary. That car wasn't scary, but
well,
the car's
I don't even understand what kind of a 0 to 60 does that have?
You know, the car's a tube frame car, so it's not like a unibodied car. So the car's probably 2,500 pounds.
It's crazy.
The horsepower is over 1,000,
which is
horsepower,
insane.
and then the slicks are huge. But it would matter if you heated up the slicks or you got in the slicks, because the slicks. I'll tell you something interesting. I'm just going to say it because I think you would be interested in this. The last race I did was a 100-mile race at Willow Springs, right? And so they don't let you change the tires. You just go race the whole race. And so for the first 50 miles, maybe 70 miles, the tires are sort of okay. But then at a certain point, the tires go away. They get really gummy and gooey, and you're turning the wheel and you're going straight. That's basically what's happening. You're just turning and you just keep plowing forward. And you're not getting anything because they said the tires are going to start wearing out. They're going to start going away. The last 10 laps of the race, you're not really going to be able to use the tires. So there's a part of Laguna Seca, or I should say Willow Springs. It's got a back straightaway.
Right.
And the back straightaway.
How long is that?
It's, I don't know, mile and a quarter.
I was going to say 1.2 or something.
The whole track's like 2.5. Mm-hmm. The back straight's like, and you're going 160 miles an hour, and then you go into a flat right turn. And so I'm driving the car and I'm thinking, oh, the tires are gone. There's no, I'm going to fly right off the end of the track. But the guy in front of me is in first and second place. So I'm like, these guys know how to drive. We're driving the same car, essentially. Right. So I'm just going to tuck in behind them and go through the turn. And I kept going through the turn, but each time I was thinking, I'm going to fly. It's a long straightaway into a long right-hand turn. And you just think you're going to go off into the desert. But I never did, even though the tires have gone away.
What do you attribute that to?
Well, what I attribute to is when I got back to the pits after the race, I said, how's this car sliding all over the place? And then we go 160 miles an hour. We go right in this turn. We're planted the whole time. The guy said, aero. You got downforce.
Oh.
At 40 miles an hour, you have no downforce.
Right.
At 160, you have tons of downforce. Literally tons of downforce. And I was like, why didn't you tell me that before I got in the car? Because I wasn't doing the math, but it is thousands of pounds of downforce at 160 miles an hour.
I had not thought of that.
And at 140, by the way, sorry, at 40 miles an hour,
you got none.
No, you have no downforce. The car's sliding all over the place. 160, planted.
Wow.
It's all downforce.
It's amazing.
That's what they don't tell you. All right, let me tell you about Geico. Well, if you're going to race in a C7R, you want to get yourself some Geico. Do you own? Do you rent? Well, you do one or the other. And then there is your automotive policy. Geico makes it easy to bundle your homeowners or renters insurance along with your automotive policy. So go to geico.com, get a quote, see just how much you could save and just how easy it is to save at Geico. Go to geico.com today and see just how easy it is to save at Geico. Gary, find that vid of driving that stupid car around the...
You know, it's so funny. We used to have a joke for 30 years when I was a teenager about, I want to say it was Mario Andretti, but it might have been, what's his name, Emerson. Tell you, what he's doing now... Yeah, what he's doing now is warming up the tires. And at the beginning, when they...
Oh, I'm glad you brought up...
I'm talking about?
Oh, do I know what you're talking about?
Jesus, I know.
Warming up the tires.
Warming up the tires for years was our mantra. What he's doing now is warming up the tires.
I drove that car. I got out onto the track. I was doing warm-up laps, spun right off the track because the tires were cold.
Cold, right?
Crazy.
It was a whole kind of preparatory move you'd have to make that nobody understood what it was.
Crazy. Those tires don't work when they're cold.
Right.
And you'll fly right off track. I was barely driving the car and just spun right off the track. That's the crazy part. Gary,
Did we lose Gary?
I don't know where Gary is.
I'm trying to figure out which Trans Am video you're looking for because in the middle you started talking about spinning out, so I'm trying to find the right one.
Do not do the 935.
Copy that.
Got to do the C7R vet. That'll do it. But
who was it who used to say that? He's doing now. It could have been. Who was Emerson Fittipaldi? Would he become a commentator later in later life, or was it Mario Andretti who was?
I'm going to go
Mario was the STP spokesperson at some point.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Well, Now, this is during the race, Gary. You just go to the...
That's why I was asking which one you wanted.
There's just me driving the car. It's like a weekend at Willow Springs or whatever. But the cold tires.
Cold tires is a real problem.
You fly off the track. You don't even have to try. You just literally blip the throttle and you go sliding off the track.
That's exactly right. I remember the guys who used to have the Shelbys back then, and the Shelby had a similar kind of crazy rear tire as well. You remember that? And you had to do the same thing, otherwise you'd lose any kind of traction.
I won't play it. I still think, Gary, you're not finding the right one.
Wow. Look at that.
I don't know. It's just Adam drives Trans Am. I think there's just a 3-minute and 30-second version of Adam drives Trans Am that's out on the internet. But, there it is.
There it is.
That's it.
Willow Springs.
Yeah. It's a sequential shift. So it's like up 1, down 2, down 3, down 4. There's no H.
Really?
It's just up, down, up, down.
Huh.
So you start in first, pull it down, pull it down, pull it down, then push up, push up, push up. There's a thing for reverse where you like grab this thing and squeeze it out.
What's a comparable car you've ever driven that was like that?
There's nothing like that. I mean, wow. that thing is crazy.
I want to drive it.
You would enjoy it.
It looks
fast.
like it.
It was like it felt safe, even though it seemed crazy.
It's insane. It's not just crazy. Look, Gary looks like we didn't get to any of our stories, did we, Gary? Gary looks like we spent an hour and we didn't get to a single story.
All right.
Okay.
Mark, you got business to take care of.
I do.
So you go to AdamCarolla.com for all the live shows. Mark, what do you got?
I got, if you're in V Palm Springs or Palm Springs, come over to the V Hotel, Gigi's. Come by for brunch or dinner. Downtown LA, come by Engine Company 28 or 10E. If you're in New York City, come by to the Provas, either at Grand Central or at the Moxie Hotel in Times Square.
So, till next time, Adam Carolla for Mark Garagos saying, Mahala.
Thanks for listening to Reasonable Doubt. Tune in next Saturday for an all-new episode.